Morning, Trainiacs. Might be snowy out here, but the forecast for today calls for pain. So, on the docket today is an FTP test, functional threshold power test. And functional threshold power is basically the maximum amount of power that you can sustain for a 1 hour period. I know I've talked a lot about this before. You can check out a video that I've done right up there about how to perform this. Today, I'm going to give you a couple of tips about preparing for it because I've talked a lot about the actual test itself. So how to get ready for it, and then, I've never done this, but we are going to do a Zwift FTP test and see how it compares to just like the raw FTP tests that I've done before. And it's gonna hurt. So think of getting prepped for an FTP test kind of along the same lines as how you would prep for an actual race. You are looking to put out as much power as you possibly can over the course of this test. So you want to do it at a time where you can perform to your peak physical limitations. So you want to do it maybe at the end of a rest week. You don't want to do what I'm doing today and do it the day after a big strength workout. Instead of the low carb drink that I recommend for fat burning in the morning, have a carb-based meal just like you would before a race. Make sure you get a big sleep the night before. Make sure that you're well warmed up. Like I say, treat this as if you are going in to a race and you need to perform as well as you possibly can. And then a couple of things about setup that'll help. Number one, have a heart rate monitor so that you or your coach can look at your heart rate in relation to the FTP test. And this is going to help you develop not just power zones, but some heart rate zones in relation to those power zones so that you can develop a race pace strategy. Have a bottle very easily accessible because you want to focus on the test, not on reaching for nutrition. Get music absolutely cranking to pump yourself up because you are going to be turning yourself inside out. And to do that, wear your toughest looking backwards hat and old AC Slater wrestling gear. So we're gonna do the Zwift version of the test, and then I'll check in with you as a much more tired, sweatier, disgusting version of Taren to tell you how the Zwift test does in relation to FTPs. This is gonna suck. Oh, I'm so shaky now. Okay, so how the Zwift workout works is for the warm-up, it sets you in erg mode. And there's a 1 hour, 13-minute FTP test where the warm-up is about 42 minutes and then you get into the FTP test. And there's a shorter FTP test that's about 45 minutes where it's 20 minutes warm-up before you get into the FTP test. And erg mode is a setup where the trainer and Zwift communicate with each other and it puts out constant power. So Zwift has a set power number that it wants you to hit to build up to your getting ready to do the FTP test. It communicates with your trainer so that your trainer adjusts the resistance, and no matter how hard or easy you're pedaling, the power number is the same, and this is going to gradually lift up your heart rate. Now, I'd love to tell you that this was flawless, but it wasn't. When I started the FTP test the first time, it ended up maxing out at 160 watts, and no matter how much I geared up or changed my cadence, it just stuck at 160 watts. Like erg mode was stuck on 160 watts. I Googled it, and apparently around August of last year, there was a bug that got into Zwift that this happened to a lot of people, and I guess it's still there occasionally. So I was right pissed off because I had warmed up getting ready for this FTP test, and all of a sudden my heart rate's dropping, I'm moving around, I'm Googling it, I'm stiffening up. I'm not sure if I can even do it because I wasn't sure how to actually restart the test. And I thought, well, I mean, I'm just gonna have to do it manually, and then this sucks for a video. But I ended up figuring out a hack. So if this happens to you, basically just end that workout, go back into an FTP test, and instead of having to redo that whole warm-up, you hit a button that skips forward the sections of the workout. So what I did was I went into the shorter one, I skipped forward, I did about 3 minutes of the section right before the FTP test, skip forward, and boom, did the FTP test again. And then as you're in the FTP test, Zwift is giving you prompts for how far along you are. Now, they're not great. It's not like it's guiding you through a build of an FTP test where it's telling you to kind of ease into it and it's sensing how well you're doing based off your heart rate or anything like that. It basically just lets you do an FTP test manually, and it gives you prompts for your 5 minutes in, your 10 minutes in, your 15 minutes in. There's 3 minutes left, 2 minutes left. Crank it up. Granted, I could not crank it up. Now, the thing about it was, I could not crank it up. So it's not like it's a coach that's recognizing how you're doing and giving you the encouragement or throttling you back for whatever you need. Now, do I like it? Well, as far as FTP tests go, yeah, it's fine. Given the options of one, doing an FTP test just looking at a TV screen or a blank wall and looking at your bike computer, it's night and day, way more engaging than that. And the difference between doing the FTP test that's pre-programmed into Zwift or just going on to Zwift and doing an FTP test manually is that you're kept at as steady a power as possible, and the elevation changes that happen in Zwift aren't really factored into how your bike is feeling. So it's more consistent and it's a more true test, I'd say. Oh, and the results of the FTP test for me was a 267 watt average over that 20 minutes. It's not that intense. I am very much more a 10 to 20 second burst kind of cyclist, not an endurance cyclist. Good thing that I'm doing triathlon. That, however, is the third highest FTP test I've ever done, and considering that I did a brutal strength workout yesterday, and in addition to that, another 30 minutes of physio rehab on top of it, and I've been sick 10 days out of the last month, and I've traveled twice, I'm actually really happy with that. Relatively speaking, it's probably one of my better performances. Comment below with what your FTP number is. Now, to go get into some recovery boots and eat a ginormous breakfast. See ya, fun for all.